Good day, everybody. I'm back. Long hiatus. Very long story. Today, I want to show you how to make these really cool peyote triangles. And lots of people have videos on these, but I want to show you this for a few particular reasons. I want to show you how to increase to make a triangle and then how to decrease. If you can learn those two skills, you can do all kinds of neat things just from those skills. One, you can make these really cool bracelets. This one's not quite done yet. You can make a bezel for the triangular Swarovski crystal, which is the project we're going to make today. And in fact, this one is going to go on this cool necklace. So we're going to make that today. But also, if you know how to increase to make a triangle and how to decrease to make it 3D, you can also do this. This is a kaleidocycle. So I can do a kaleidocycle with that method. That's pretty cool. I'm kind of enamored with this little toy right now. I just actually finished it yesterday, so I'm spending a lot of time playing with it. But these are really cool. This is my why for beading, is kind of the physics behind it, the math behind it. More than anything, I love 3D projects. Anyway, enough rambling. So that's really cool. Let me get a list of materials and my bead mat set up and we'll get started. So what are we going to need? I've got a thread zap or just some cutters are fine. I want to use a 6-pound fire line. On my bead mat, I have got delica size 11, and these are number 434. And normally for the spine, for the internal part, I would use delicas, but these are the only color I really had to match. And these are rounds. This is the first time I've done it with rounds, but I think it'll work. I've ordered some more delicas this color, but they haven't come in yet. So these are a Miyuki size 11, color 0013, and that's a silver lined dark smoke amethyst, which really matches up beautifully with our crystal, which I'll show in a minute. And then just for around the edges, I'm using some size 8s, which are these guys, and the color is, these are a dark copper, and that is color 222 by the looks of it, sorry. And then from Bead FX, I have got a 23 millimeter Swarovski trillion cut amethyst. So I'm going to come in just a little bit, tiny bit tighter here. And I'm really going to try very hard to stay in frame. So what I want to do is I want to pick up 3 of my amethyst beads. And I want to take them close to the end. I don't want a huge tail because I'm going to cut that right off. So I'm going to just kind of leave a short tail and a tie, and then tie again. And I want to leave the tail on for a little while because while I'm first doing this, it's really challenging to hold on to. There we go. All right. So you should have this kind of cool looking little triangle. So what I'm going to do is I want to bury my knot in there, so just give me a second. I know my fingers are in the way, but I'm going to try and hold on to this. I know I'm covering everything at the moment, but Oh, by the way, I forgot. I'm using a size 11 beading needle too, the stiff ones, because I do like them better for this. Okay, so my knot is, where is it? Kind of there. So I'm going to just move my knot into the bead beside it. And I'm going to just pull that in. And this is a little bit difficult to get my needle through again, but that's okay. So the goal here is I want to now pick up, so I'm coming out of this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 beads, go through that one. I'll pick up another 2 beads. So those first 2 will sit here. Pick up 2 more beads that'll sit there, and I'll go through that one. And then 2 more and go through that one. So I want to have 2 beads on all 3 sides. And it's a little bit hard to actually kind of really see that when it happens, but I'll do my best to show you. So I'm coming out of this bead here. I'm going to go into this bead right there. Now this is the first time I've used rounds for this project, so I don't really know how it's going to work, but we'll try. So what I want to do is I want to kind of set them up, and if you recognize the herringbone stitch, that's kind of what that is. So now I'm coming out of this bead. I'm going to pick up 2 more, and I'm going to keep looking up. So if you see me pause, it's because I'm looking up to make sure that I'm staying in frame. So I'm coming out of this one here. I'm going to go into the next bead over there and pull. And you see how I'm really holding on to the thread a lot when I pull through. And I know my fingers are covering it, but... All right, so now... Kind of hard to grab this thread here. So now that's what I have. And let me just pull these threads out of the way a little bit, much as I can. And so now the last side I have to put 2 on is right here. But I also have to step up into the next row. So on the third round, always on all of these rows, you'll be going through 2 beads. So now I'm coming out of this bead. I'm going to go into that one where my tail is coming out of. There we go. And now I'm going up through those 2. I'm going to pull, and just give me a moment to sort all my beads out, and I will show you what it should look like. If I can keep it in my fingers. Just give me a minute. Let me sort these beads out here. Okay, so now I've got a stack of herringbone going this way, that way, and this way. Okay, so my thread's coming out of here. So now this is where we start adding the delicas. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm coming out of this bead. I'm going to pick up 2 more beads. And I'm going to go into the bead right next to it. And that's that bead. I'm going to sort these beads out a little bit. I'm going to turn my project. And now I'm coming out of this bead here, and you can see between this bead and that one there's a little gap. I'm going to fill that with a delica. So I'm going to come up that bead there. And I'm going to pop that delica into that little space. So these are increases, the 2 beads that I keep adding on. So there's a little space between those 2 beads and a little gap between those ones. So now, if I've increased one side, I have to increase the other 2. So give me a moment. Yes, I know my fingers are definitely in the way, but I kind of have to hold my fingers there just to hold onto my piece. So I attached my delica to this one, which is where my thread is coming out. So the bead right beside it is the one I'm going to go into. And I'm going to pull. And I pretty much always have to kind of sort these beads out to make them sit properly. The first couple rounds are really the most difficult because it's hard to see what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to fill that little gap in there. Sorry, I'm probably right out of frame again. And now I'm coming out of this bead. I'm going to pick up 2 and go into the one right next to it. coming out of here, I'm going to go into the bead next door. So it's the one right beside it. So we're doing a combination of herringbone and peyote. And herringbone is what we use to do our increases with. Okay, now, there we go. So now it's a little bit easier to hold on to. So I'm coming out of this bead here. Now this is where we do our step up. It's our third one. So remember, we're always going through 2 beads. So I'm going to pick up this bead, my little delica. Now the temptation is to go into that top bead, but you shouldn't. You want to go into the one below it because our delica has to sit right here. And actually, if you look at this delica over here, you can see it's attached to the one below this. And so we want to mimic that side. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go through 2. And when I pull, it just pops right into place. So now I'm going to pick up another 2 beads. I'm just going to do another round with you. I'm not going to spend all day doing this because it's actually pretty simple. The first little bit's really difficult. After this, it's super easy. So now I'm coming out of this bead. I'm going to go into the next one. Away we go. I got kind of a runny nose at the moment. Okay, so now I've got a gap here and a gap here. So now I can pick up 2. So we're increasing by 1 bead each side. So this one I did 1. Now I'm going to do 2 beads on all 3 sides. Okay. Hopefully you've got enough light here to see what I'm doing. My hands are creating shadows, so I can't see my beads to pick them up. Okay, so I'm picking up 2 beads. Pull those 2 apart. So I'm coming out of that one. I'm going to go into the one next to it. And I'm going to pull. So once you get to this stage, really, it's so much easier to see everything. Once you get that first delica in place, then it's much simpler. And you'll really start to see the triangle grow quite a bit. So I'll pick up on this side. We're going to have 2 delicas again. One and 2. And then we'll pick up another 2 of my rounds. And then I'm coming out of this one. I'm going to go into the bead beside it. There we go. So this is my last side, which means the last bead I put on, I'm going to have to step up. That means going up 2 beads. So on this one, I'll put in bead number 1. And I'm going to have a look over on this side. And that bead is connected to the one below this very top one. So I've got to do the same on this side. That means I'll pick up my delica, and it means I have to go through the top 2 beads. And that's going to be the way it is with every single round on your last round. That didn't make sense. Every single row, when you come to your last side, you'll be stepping up to. So now you'll see I'll add 2 more beads on here, then I'll put 1, 2, 3, 2 more beads on there, 1, 2, 3, 2 more beads, 1, 2, 3, and don't forget to step up. So you want to do this so you have 12 of the spine beads or the center beads. So the count is from the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4 rows we have so far. Now, what I'd like you to do is to get to 12 rows. So that's counting the spine beads. Or if you want to count the outside beads, you count the top of this spine, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can count those outside beads. Okay, I'm going to continue working on this off camera, And I will be back when I have the correct amount of beads on. We'll see you in a minute. Okay. So one thing I should tell you is when you're doing your peyote, now for me, I am a very, very tight beater, and I had to be very mindful, but we really want this to be a very flexible piece. Most of my triangles are crazy stiff. So let's see how this is going to fit. So you'll notice that our triangle is kind of pointed on the back there, and so I want to kind of see if we can get this to fit nicely here, nice and even, and I think that's going to do. This could even be a little bit bigger than it needs to be actually, but that's okay. If we need to, we'll pull a few rows off, but I think I'm going to do that because, yeah, that's going to bend over too far. So I'm going to pull one row off, and I'm going to start again because where these two are right here, I actually want some of these guys, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I've gone down to 11 rows. Now, if you're using delicas in the center here, you might have to go to 12. I suspect that the looseness, as well as the size of it being a little bit bigger than I wanted, is probably because I'm using 11 round. So if you're finding that's what's going on with you, that's probably why. So in this case now, where I would have put my 2 purple beads, instead I'm actually going to put one of my size 8s. So I'm coming out of here and I'm going into the next one. And it's really quite the same process. Nothing different here. I'm just putting my my beads on one at a time, the way I have been doing all along. The only exception, I've just put one bead on the corner instead of my 2. So I'm going to continue that around until I come to the step up, and I'll be right back. Okay. So this is where we're going to start our decrease. And I'm pretty confident that's going to work out well. So I'm not going to hold this in. This part can get tricky. At some point in time, you're going to have to start holding your crystal in. But how we're going to do this is I'm going to pick up one of my purple beads. I'm coming out of my my tip bead here, and I'm going to just go in there. And now I'll pick up these guys. I really hope that I'm not, I gotta just move my my board here out of the way because it's kind of holding my hand up really high, and I don't really like that much because I feel like it's, if I can keep my hand on the desk, it'll be better. And it's going to seem a little bit odd in a way, but don't worry about that. We will fix it. And by the way, this is, as I said, this is a really good skill to have, to learn, because you can do so much with it. All right, I'm going to pick up another purple bead. I'm just going to go through that center, or that end bead there. Come around, pick up another purple bead, and go through. Okay, so I'm going to do that all the way around. So when you come here to the purple beads or the amethyst beads, just go straight through, pick up another one, and straight through. Okay, I'll be back when I get close to the step up. Okay, so I'm coming down to it, just picking up the last few of these guys. Now before I pick up my final purple bead here, I'm going to come in just a little tighter. I I don't know if I came in tighter or not. My camera just suddenly decided to totally change focus on me. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to pick up my purple bead. I'm going to go through this one as per normal, but I'm going to step up, or in this case we would call it stepping down, into this purple bead here. So I'm going to pass through that end bead and into the purple bead without adding anything. And now I will pick up another purple bead, go through the next gold, and now I'll add my gold in. I'm trying really hard to be really mindful of not making my videos super long, but there's just so much to show on them. It's really hard to shorten them, especially if you want to give a good explanation. It's very difficult to do that. Okay, here's where it's a tiny bit different. So I'm going to pick up my purple bead. I'm going to go into this purple bead here, right here. Okay, and now I'm going to avoid this end bead, and I'm going to go jump across right into this purple bead here. Okay, so I know on the first one we went through it, but that's because I was stepping down, so to speak, or stepping up. But in this case, I'm skipping that bead, and I'm just going to go through this purple bead here without adding anything on. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Hopefully you can see it. Pull, and what that'll do is it'll start to kind of snug these corners in a little bit. I'm going to pick up a purple bead, so I just came out of this purple bead. I'm going to pick up another one, and what you should notice is that this is just simply decreasing. And you'll see that little pocket it's creating. That's a nice little pocket to poke my my crystal in. And with these, we don't need to do that many rows just to reduce the size. And here's where I'm going to start snugging a little bit harder on my thread. So I want to finish this side here. Okay, rather than having you watch me, I'm going to get down to about this point and then I'll show you again. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my last couple gold I'll put on here. Well, my last gold, that is. Okay, and now the next one I have to put in a purple. So I'll pick up a purple. I'll go into this purple right here and pull. I'm going to skip that end bead and I'm going to go straight into the other side without putting any beads on. And we'll snug that up. I will pick up another purple. I'll go into the gold bead. There we go. Snug it up. I'll continue down the side here. Okay. So I've just picked up my last delica for this side. And now I will pick up a purple one. So I will go into the purple one, skipping the end bead. And now I have my two purple ones on the end here. So this is my step up, so to speak. So I have to go through both of those purple beads. Okay, that's my step up or step down, as we may call it. Now, from this point on, I'm probably going to have to hold on to my crystal. For now, I can bead this side, but after this, I think I'm going to have to hold on to it as I bead. But you can see that's going to look really pretty in there. All right, I'm gonna bead this side, which means, remember, we got to put one purple on here. So we're going to begin and end with a purple, all right? And I'm going to bead down here, and I'll show you that, reduction again, or that decrease. I'll be right back. Okay, so I just popped my crystal in now. I want to make sure that all of the corners are snugged up there. And I'm going to pick up my last gold bead of the row, the round that is. And I'm going to pull that nice and snug. So this time now we can really pull nice and tight. I'm going to pick up one purple bead. I'm going to go through this purple bead here. There we go. Pull that nice and tight. I'm going to skip across to this purple bead over on this side, ignoring all the other purple beads, just that one. And I'm going to pull nice and snug. So you see we've got 3 purple beads on this side, but only 2 here, so that means I've got to pick up another purple bead and go into that next gold bead. And hopefully you can see that we're really reducing the size of this triangle. And I really want to pull that snug, really nice and tight in there, as I don't really want any thread showing. And I think this may end up actually being my last round, because I don't want to completely cover my, my crystal here. I want to leave lots to see. And it doesn't take an awful lot to bezel this. It's not going anywhere once I tighten this up. It's really interesting. It's significantly looser in comparison to the one that I did with the cream beads. Sort of that golden colored one I did with the cream beads. This is definitely a looser one, which is okay. Nice and snug in there. I say it's my last round, but we'll see. It might not be. There's my last gold bead going in. Right there. Now I need a purple one, and I'm going to add into that purple, just through one. Pull that nice and snug. And now I'm going to go into this last purple on this side. Just like that. And I want to pull tight. Put in another purple. And you know, by knowing this method, like I said, you can do so many amazing things with beads. You can produce machines, you can produce amazing shapes. You can do so much different sort of 3D stuff. Like there's amazing things you can do with this. And for me, I know there's lots of people out there that don't really particularly love peyote. I do. I really love peyote. I think it's amazing to an amazing stitch, because it's, in my opinion, the most versatile stitch that we have. I really believe that. Many might argue that, but I think it's our most versatile stitch. So I'm going to go through here and kind of snug all of this up, tighten it up really nice. And one of the things I'm probably going to end up having to do is I'm probably going to have to go around one more time and actually really kind of reinforce those corner edges with my thread. And I'll probably do that with a brand new piece of thread. Just want to have this one nice and tight. Now on here, again, if you were going to continue another couple of rows, like let's say you had one where you needed to, you would, I'll show you the step up. Okay, so I'm going to go into that purple one there. So remember, this is our last side. We're all done now. But what I would do is I would go into those last two. Remember, this is a step up. So we'd go into those last two purples right in there. If I can get my needle in. There we go. And then I'm going to just kind of pinch those two together as I really snug those up. And there you have it. I can tie that off, which I'll do in just a moment. I'll show you how I do that. But I might just put in some little size 15s to snug that in a little bit more. So let me get the 15s and I'll be right back. I'll just see what it looks like. You never know, it might be. All right, so these are my 15s. These are a Duracoat dark berry. I'm not sure what the number is on these guys. 94212. So anyway, I'm going to try those. I don't know if my size 11 will work so well with them, but we'll try. So this might give me an opportunity as well to kind of pull these ends together a little bit. I don't want to go across with my thread because I'm worried that it'll just be a big wide fest of thread. So I'm not going to add any more of my purple beads. I'm just simply going to reinforce by reducing around those beads there. All right, so I'm going to pop in my 15-Os and see how that looks. I think that's going to look pretty spectacular. And I really want to give these a good snug pull. There. So I'm going to go through my purple one here, and as I did before, I'm going to go through that purple. There we are. Very nice. I think that'll snug it up beautifully. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit happier with that because it really pulls the stitching in nice and tight. So I think that's going to be a better bezel. And it will also help me to reinforce these end spine bits. And I'm really going to tug on that nice and tightly. And into the purple. Pulling my thread out of my hands here. And then into the other purple on this side. And pull. Yeah, that's kind of pulling them together a little bit nicer actually. Good. But I think you get it by now. Almost done the end of my project here, and I'm loving this. I think this purple one turned out absolutely stunning. And it's easy. It's so easy. Doesn't get much easier than this. I'm going to put in my last bead, and I'm going to reinforce this final corner here as well. Without adding any other beads again, just go into that purple one. I don't know if it's going to let me. I'm afraid I'm going to break that bead. Maybe I'll go over to my size 12. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to take my size 12 and go through that bead. There we go, and that slides through really easy. Good, okay, and so that's nicely reinforced there. I'm going to really pull tight on that. I don't want to use my needle to pull with because it's wimpy. It is a very wimpy little size 12 and it bends really easily and I'd probably snap it. Okay, so I'm coming out of that that purple bead there. I'm going to go into the bead above it, and in fact, if I can, try and get through. Oh, look at that, I've gotten through 3 beads. Holy, that's pretty good. Probably going to need my pliers to pull on that though, to pull through. And I'm coming out of this bead, I'm going to come back down the bead beside it. I just want to come through one. And I'm going to pull my thread tight. Then I'm going to go back up the bead that I was coming out of. And then a few more if I can, which it looks like it wants to pick up like 50 of them. All right, so there's 2. I just like to change direction a few times. I am a knot tire. I really like my knots, but this works pretty good, I've found, and I don't have to worry too much. All right, so coming out of there, I'm going to go into this bead here. And I think that's it. I think I'm just going to cut that bead or that thread there, call it done. Might have a little thread showing, but I'll take my thread burner in there afterwards anyway. But there you go. I think that's a really, really beautiful, simple little project. It looks complicated, or more complicated than what it is, but it's simple, and that stone is not going anywhere. So I have 2 of them. Very nice project, very easy to do, very easy to make. So get out there and give it a try. It's super simple. If you like these videos, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and that way I can keep creating more of these. Thanks. See you next time.